James Leininger was a lively child, full of adventure. He loved exploring the world with wide-eyed wonder. His laughter was infectious, and his curiosity knew no bounds. But at 2, a shadow fell upon his life. His bright eyes dimmed, and unease settled over him. It was as if a dark cloud had descended. Nightmares began to plague his sleep. These weren't typical bad dreams. They were intense and almost too real. James would toss and turn, crying out in his sleep. He would wake up screaming about a plane crash, describing chilling details of fire and being trapped. His parents tried to comfort him, but the fear in his eyes was unmistakable. Bruce and Andrea were heartbroken, watching helplessly as their son was tormented night after night. They tried everything, but the nightmares persisted. James spoke of a fire in the plane and a man named Jack Lawson. The details were so specific it was hard to believe they were just a child's imagination. If you found James's story intriguing, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us bring more fascinating stories to light. As the nightmares continued, so did the strange utterances. Every night, James would toss and turn, his small face contorted in fear. His parents, Bruce and Andrea, were at a loss. They had tried everything to soothe him, but the nightmares persisted, relentless and vivid. James would often talk about a plane called a Corsair, even mimicking the sounds of its engine. He seemed to know intricate details about the aircraft, details that no ordinary child his age would know. His fascination with the Corsair was intense, almost obsessive. He once pointed to a toy plane with retractable wheels and exclaimed, "That's not right. My plane had wheels that went up into the wings." His parents were bewildered. How could James, a child who had never been exposed to such specific aviation knowledge, be so certain about these details? James was adamant about the details, his frustration growing when his parents didn't understand. He would often become upset trying to explain the differences between his toy plane and the real Corsair he described. His parents, though supportive, were increasingly concerned about the intensity of his emotions. He was adamant about the details, his frustration growing when his parents didn't understand. Bruce and Andrea tried to comfort him, but their reassurances did little to ease his distress. They began to wonder if there was something more to James's vivid recollections. One day, Bruce took James to an airshow, hoping to distract him from the nightmares. He thought that seeing real planes might help James differentiate between his dreams and reality. The airshow was bustling with excitement, the roar of engines filling the air. As they watched a Corsair perform aerial maneuvers, James shouted, "That's my plane! But my plane got shot down by the Japanese." Bruce was taken aback. The conviction in James's voice was undeniable. It was as if he was recalling a memory, not just imagining a scene. James's declaration sent chills down Bruce's spine. How could his young son know about such specific wartime events? The Corsair in flight, the mention of being shot down by the Japanese. It all seemed too detailed to be a mere coincidence. He then pointed to the aircraft carrier depicted on a nearby display and declared, "That's the Natoma, that's where I took off from." Bruce's heart raced. The Natoma Bay was a real World War II aircraft carrier, a fact that James should have no way of knowing. James's knowledge of the Natoma Bay was astonishing. He spoke with such certainty, as if he had been there himself. Bruce couldn't shake the feeling that there was something extraordinary about his son's recollections. Bruce was stunned. Natoma Bay was a real World War II aircraft carrier. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that James's knowledge was too precise to be dismissed as mere imagination. Could it be possible that James was remembering a past life? How could his son possibly know that? Bruce and Andrea began to research the Natoma Bay and the Corsair planes. They discovered that many of the details James had mentioned matched historical records. The possibility that their son was experiencing memories from a past life became harder to ignore. They decided to seek the help of experts in the field of past life regression, hoping to find answers to the mystery that had taken over their lives. James's fascination with World War II planes went beyond typical childhood interest. His knowledge was deeply rooted in a seemingly inexplicable familiarity. He possessed an uncanny understanding of aircraft and battles, using terms like fuselage and dogfight with ease. His detailed descriptions astonished adults. James's sketches were detailed representations, not crude drawings. He knew the exact placement of the cockpit, the shape of the wings, and the design of the tail. His parents were baffled. They had no books on the subject at home, and James had never shown any particular interest in history before. One afternoon, James pointed to a picture of a Japanese fighter plane and said, "That's a Zero! That's what shot me down." His parents were stunned. He then pointed to a photo of a young pilot and exclaimed, "That's me! That's what I looked like!" The conviction in his voice sent chills down their spines. The pilot in the picture was named James Huston Jr., a young man who had died in the Pacific during World War II. The resemblance was uncanny. James Huston Jr. was a fighter pilot shot down during a mission. The young boy's knowledge and identification of Huston raised questions that defied logical explanation. Determined to understand, James's parents began researching. They discovered many details their son mentioned were accurate. James shared more memories, describing life as a pilot and specific missions. His parents listened with a mix of awe and concern. They consulted experts, each with their own theories. Despite various explanations, none could fully account for James's knowledge. The family visited a World War II memorial. James seemed to recognize the names and faces of many soldiers commemorated there. Back at home, they found old letters and photographs that corroborated James's stories. His parents couldn't deny the profound connection. James's eerie knowledge had opened a window into a past life that defied conventional understanding. Section 4. Seeking Answers. The Leiningers' Quest for Truth. Bruce and Andrea were both devout Christians, and the idea of reincarnation was initially difficult for them to accept. However, the evidence was mounting, and they couldn't ignore their son's detailed recollections. They began to research past life regression and reincarnation, desperately seeking answers to their son's inexplicable behavior. They contacted various experts, including Dr. Carol Bowman, a renowned author and therapist specializing in children's past lives. Dr. Bowman listened intently to their story and suggested that James might be experiencing genuine memories from a previous life. She advised them to encourage James to talk about his experiences without judgment or fear. Section 5. Soul Survivor. A Family's Journey into Reincarnation. Encouraged by Dr. Bowman, Bruce and Andrea delved deeper into James's story. They discovered that a James Huston Jr. had indeed been a pilot aboard the USS Natoma Bay during World War II. He had died when his plane crashed after being hit by Japanese fire during the Battle of Iwo Jima. The details matched James's accounts with chilling accuracy. If you found James's story intriguing, hit that like button and share your thoughts. Or if you know about any other real story, write in the comments below. Your engagement helps us bring more fascinating stories to light.